The wrap-up show is back. The Padres are not listless tonight in Cleveland, kicking off a 9-game roadie to start the quote-unquote second half, losing 7-0. Bullpen was awful. Matt Waldron was very good and offensively 4 hits. And concerning signs for the Padres, who are in a bit of a freefall. 1-7 in their last 8 games after getting 6 games over 500. That was the season high. They have fallen all the way back to 500 through 100 games at 50-50. It is the wrap-up show. Make your way in. We have year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. So if you're here live or on replay, please subscribe. Smash the like button for us if you wouldn't mind. Follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. We appreciate all the super chats. I see Murray has one in already. We'll get to it. Great way to support our work in this channel and to control some of the conversation here tonight. So we'll get to every single super chat. Just click the $ below the chat box and we'll get your super chats. If you want to become a member, click the join button down below. If you want to join our brand new Discord server, you can click the link in the description down below. Jim, we watched this game in studio through maybe 6 or 7 innings. And the Padres, I think the saying goes, if you don't score, you can't win. The Padres have never won a game that they didn't score in, and they didn't score today, and they lose 7-0. They haven't scored, Jim. They've scored 12 runs in their last 7 games, including today. And the All-Star break doesn't really change anything for San Diego, unfortunately.
Glad Matt Waldron showed up.
And he did.
He's the only Padre that showed up to start the second half today. Was him. Everyone else, no shows. That was, that's like, hey, we're starting off our most important road trip of the season right before the trade deadline. We just lost 6-7 to end the first half. Wiped the slate clean. Had 4 days off. Time to regroup. Energize the batteries. And you put together that game offensively. Like, without Matt Waldron, it could have been way worse. Way worse. Now, it was bad. 7-0 is not good. But Matt Waldron is the only bright spot of tonight. That's it. Everything else was shit. I mean, I don't care what Schulte says. Those were some really bad at-bats tonight. The first couple innings, yes, they made Bybee work, or however you say his last name.
Yeah, Bybee, yep.
You made him work, but you had nothing to show for it. And you let him off the hook. So, I'm sorry, you can't fool us, Mike. This was not a good game offensively. These weren't great at bats. I'm sorry. You're not fooling anybody, my guy. Like, you're just not. The power of Schulte positivity only takes you so far. And right now, to start the second half, you start off on a horrible note. Hopefully, you can at least take maybe 1 game here versus the Guardians. I mean, taking a series from the Guardians at home, John, would be the first time all season long that the Guardians would have lost a home series if you didn't know that. So that, to me, just taking at least 1 game in Cleveland, you got to do it, and you move on, and you hopefully can win a series in Washington and see what you do in Baltimore. But, I mean, just what frankly, pathetic start to your second half.
Well, a couple of things. I mean, maybe we can reverse some of this by calling people out. Maybe that turns some things around. Here, I'll be the first to do it. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something that is very rarely done. I don't even have the facts or the numbers to back me up, but I'm going to do something that has not been done by a lot of people watching the Padres this year. Jurickson Profar has fallen off.
Ooh.
Now, he hasn't fallen off the cliff, but go look. Someone look this up right now. Look at his numbers through May 31st. Look at his numbers since June 1st. Put it in the chat. I'll pull it up. Doesn't have to be a super. Just give me his numbers through May 31st or however many days are in May. Give me his numbers since. I know he's tailed off. So I want to see him. I don't have him in front of me. I'm just telling you that he's fallen off. He's come back to earth, which is reasonable. If you thought he was hitting 330 this year with a 950 OPS, that's not fair of Jurickson Profar. So somebody else is going to have to pick up the slack. Manny Machado tonight's 0 for 4. Jackson Merrill, who has put together an all-star year. He was just in the game. Impressive in itself. 0 for 4 with 4 Ks. And since that complete power surge he went on, he's become human again, which again is to be expected, I would say. You've got a gaping hole in right field with Bryce Johnson, David Peralta, whatever it is. You've got your shortstop with a sub 700 OPS. These are just facts right now. Luis Ariz has fallen off. I know he had 2 of the 4 hits here today. Jake Cronenworth had a really good game, walked and had 2 hits. But they had no base runners in the entire game. They had no runners at second base, I think, until the 9th inning. So it was, like you said, not good enough offensively. Waldron was great. Matsui was terrific. I mean, this was a game. I mean, through 7 innings is 1-0.
Yeah, right.
So it's a game. The wheels fall off. Kolek allows 4 straight hits, gets tagged for 4 runs without recording an out, which isn't a good sign. And then the rest is the rest. So, like you said, you got to bounce back. You have to win a game in this series. It feels hard to ask for more than that after losing game 1, the way Cleveland has played here this year. It's not the end of the season nor the end of the world. They're 50 and 50. That's who they are. It's a start over. Reset the video game. Everything they've done to this point is inconsequential. It's like they haven't played any games. It's like 2020, Jim. It's a 60-game sprint. They've played no games. They're 0-0, and they're like a game out or a game and a half out. So go out, play people for 60 games, but it's not encouraging. That's for sure.
What's the date that you want me to start with this Jerkson Profar?
I mean, I could do it in Baseball Reference. Just
I got it right here in front of me. Tell me the dates.
May 31st, and then give me from June 1 on. It's arbitrary. I could make it more in my favor if I needed to, but
why is it not showing up? June 1st.
Yeah, what's June 1st to now?
It's not doing it for me. The fuck?
See, I don't have the 0 for 4 tonight. I can do it without tonight. Without tonight, his OPS was 791 since June 1st coming in. So let's say 775, 780.
What the fuck?
Now he was 950. So I have it. He was 922 on May 31st. He's 791 since coming in. So there. I beat you.
Okay.
Murray, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Let's get this thing started, guys. Subscribe if you're here. Year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. The wrap-up show with John and Jim. Murray, thank you. He says starting pitching was sharp. Bullpen, crap sped. No offense. Any questions this team? I mean, that's a good summary. Waldron, good again. Bullpen has its ups and downs. Offense has been invisible for 7 consecutive games, essentially. That's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, 2 errors. Was it 2 errors tonight for Manny or 1?
Well, I don't think they ruled one of them an error, did they?
They didn't even rule the first one.
It was a base hit. He said though, if you read the post game from Kevin, he said it, without my error, we're scoreless into the 8th inning.
It was a hard shot ball.
It
wasn't called an error, but I mean, look, offensively, this team is completely just shut off. I don't know what happened, but after that Friday game where they walked off against Arizona, it's been abysmal since then. And Manny's gone ice cold. Profar's ice cold. Jackson Merrill's cold. I mean, Jake Cronenworth's been fine. Luis Arise, a couple hits tonight. But this is not good enough. It's not good enough. And it's just a really disappointing start to a very crucial stretch here for you guys. And one thing that I will question about with tonight's game, and I get it if I understand, but at the same time, it's a 1-0 game.
You want to go to Estrada there?
Yeah, why are we going to Kolek? I mean, this is high leverage situation. Everybody's fully healthy. You've had 4 days off. I mean, why are we going Kolek there?
Hey, okay, I got two thoughts on it. Actually, I have one. They've got an elite closer. You're down a run in the 8th. So, and it's not to say you can't pitch Estrada there and then pitch him again on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you're thinking they've got an elite closer and we're down a run in the 8th inning. Yeah, again, I don't think you're thinking that. You're not saying it out loud, but it's certainly part of the calculation. Are we winning this game if it's a 1-0 game, let alone a 7-0 game? Are we winning this game?
They're losing this game regardless because guess what? They scored 0 runs. And so they weren't winning this game. They were down 1-0.
We'll never know.
No, we won't know. I just think like Kolek, I don't know. It just also tells you that they need more bullpen pieces. You know, you have a Rule 5 guy here coming in the 8th inning in a 1-run game. You need better than that. I'm sorry. I know Kolek's been fine lately, But you also have a guy right now who's a 5.52 ERA. Not good enough. So you need bullpen help because you're right. You can't always in a 1-0 game go to your A team.
If there's a day to do it, it's probably today. Like you said, off rest and struggling as a team. Now I was just like their closer. What the hell's his name?
Oh, Emmanuel Clase?
Yeah, the former Padre farmhand.
Right.
He's got a .8, but that doesn't mean he's untouchable. I mean, he's close to untouchable, but one run, you don't know. One walk, one error, everything changes. And the Padres have had a flair for that type of inning where you're like, how'd they do it? They did it against really good pitching. And again, tonight maybe isn't their night regardless. I tend to agree with you, Jim. I think if I had a chance to manage it without knowing all the circumstances going into it, I'm probably throwing Estrada there. It's like it's a hand that you should be willing to chase, right? You have a good hand. You got a pair of tens. You can win the hand. You're down 1-0. Yeah, they might hold jacks. You got a pair of tens. You don't have a bad hand down 1-0. The game's not over.
No.
So I think I would chase it down.
Yeah, it was just weird to me. Like, hey, full bullpen. There's no restrictions on anybody here. And in a 1-0 game after Yuki Matsui pitched really well, you go to Kolek.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to where the bullpen's at right now with Wandy Peralta on the IL. Okay. And you can't use De Los Santos in any close game whatsoever because he is just a massive liability. Suarez, you're not going to pitch, obviously, in a down 1-0 in the 8th inning. So, an Estrada, you're trying to keep for hopefully if you tie it up, then maybe you go him in the 9th, and then hopefully you get a lead in the 10th, and you can use. I understand the thinking, but at the same time, like, Kolek, it's just.
I'm team Jim. Honestly, like I understand trailing, not using my high leverage, my second most effective reliever all year. But the Padres in the 9th inning had 2, 3, and 4 due up. Cronenworth, Machado, Bogarts. It's a risk worth taking. If I got a 15% chance of scoring a run, 10% chance, that's good enough. I mean, I got a shot. Manny Machado in the batter's box, down a run, gives me a chance.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that for whatever reason. I mean, obviously, Kolek's got to pitch better than he did, and you got to be able to work a scoreless inning, and they allowed 6 runs, and the game was over. I mean, the game was over once they scored an additional run with Cleveland's bullpen. JD Gacho wants to know if it's an All-Star game hangover. They were hungover before the All-Star game, unfortunately. I think the team's hungover from the Friday night you referenced. They walk off. Well, that was 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
No, it was a week ago. No, 2 weeks ago. You're right.
No, it was 2 weeks ago, man. They haven't done anything for 2 weeks. I mean, they had a week off, and they had a bad week. And we had Mike Farron, MLB Network Radio, on John and Jim this week, and he's like, man, that was pretty disappointing. They really gave away an opportunity at home, didn't they? Like, that might cost them, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, yeah. And we all kind of agreed with each other that you can't have another week like that. You can't parlay 1-6 with 1-6.
Which is, something that is, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, I mean, can they go 34-28 in their next 62? Can they play?
That's 84 wins.
Yeah, can they go 34-28 in their next 62? Can they play 6 games over 500, which would be the high mark of their season? Can they do that? Can they replicate that over a 62 game stretch? Because if they can't,
it'll be
good
hard.
luck.
I mean, they're right where they need to be. Like, you can't even worry 34-28 today. As bad as it's been, it's freaking bad. If it's the American League, they're getting in the area of like cooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, though. It's the National League. They are 1 game out.
Right.
That's the facts. They're 1 game out.
Yeah, and you just better hope that Arizona and New York and St. Louis and Pittsburgh, you just better hope that none of those teams go on a hot stretch. If 2 of them go on a hot stretch, you're in trouble.
You could be in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. No, you're right. One of them can. You're right. But that second and third wild card, you're right. You got to keep within arm's reach. You're spot on, Jim. If you fall 5 back, Kevin said this today. with us on John and Jim, Kevin AC. It's like if they're 7 out, you're kind of cooked. I mean, you're going to need a miracle finish. So you got to stay within arm's reach. You can't do that by going 1-6. I mean, shoot, you go 3-3 over a 6-game period. To your point, if Arizona goes 6-0 one week, you're losing ground. You're basically counting on other teams not running away from you, which is a bad formula if you don't win consistently. Like just going along and treading water, going 500, they're not even doing that right now. You go 500 over the next 10 games. What if Arizona goes 8-2? They've stolen 3 games from you in that scenario.
They just don't like they've shown the ability to come back in games this year. They have shown the ability to, as Schulte says, grit squad, right? They have done that. But like we said during the break here, that is concerning that they did all of that work and all of these things happen. 5 all-stars, all these comeback victories, all these amazing moments. I mean, we have like 12 plus moments from the first half that were like,
the DVD is going to be incredible. You could put a 6.5-hour video together on the first half of the season.
You could. I mean, if you get more than 200 views, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the top 5 games, you could probably talk about it for 6 hours.
You absolutely could. And if you did that, all of those crazy things that we've talked about, and you were 1 game over 500,
doesn't make any sense.
That is concerning, because you shouldn't sit there and be like, dude, I have a huge highlight reel from the first half. We got 5 all-stars on this team. We got career years from guys. Yeah, we have a couple injuries, but we still have like pieces there. And you're 1 over? That's concerning. That just tells me that they got a little lucky in the first half. They did play some good baseball.
I agree with you. I mean, they created some luck, but what are the odds of coming back from like 4 runs down multiple times late or 8-0 down? They've had seasons they haven't done any of that all year, you know?
Like it is concerning that they had to have all that happen to them just to be 1 game over 500 to start, or 1 game over 500 to end the first half. It just doesn't add up. And if they keep, like you kept saying, John, like, hey man, if you expect to keep doing this, that's going to be a tough ask for the remainder of the season to continue to have walk-offs and comebacks and all that stuff. Like, and most of the time these comebacks were a result of their own doing, because they either gave up leads or put themselves in a massive hole.
Yeah, I mean, let me get to the super. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to discuss here. There's so much to discuss here. Actually, before I get to this from Retod, let me just read this quote from Mike Schilt, because this, to me, I didn't see this. It was on Apple TV. I don't know if there's sound or video, but I saw quotes in Kevin Acey's postgame recap.
Oh, this was postgame?
It was postgame.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw these. I listened to it.
Okay. Well, let me just read this and tell me if you noticed this or if they played this when whatever you heard, if you heard it in its entirety. This is the way Kevin's recap wraps tonight from Mike Schilt. It's clearly discouraging. You want to be able to get those hits and be able to open the game up and get into the other side of their bullpen. But at bats are good. Approach is good. Competitiveness is there. It's all we can really ask. If that starts to waver, we'll have an issue, but it won't. But that's actually Schilt opening up the possibility of something he does not open up, which is if something happens that we don't expect to happen, we're in real trouble. He never even opens that can of worms. Now he's talking about competitive at bats. I thought in the first inning was really good. I mentioned it to you. I'm like, they threw 27 pitches. They made this guy work in the first inning, but they didn't capitalize. He ended up going whatever he went. In the game, he worked deep enough into this game, maybe 5 2/3, whatever it was. But yeah, I thought there was a decent approach early. And then, you got to get runners to second base in a game. You got to have some opportunities with men in scoring position.
Did they go 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position?
Whatever it wasn't good enough.
But yeah, I talked about, Schulte and his power of positivity only takes you so far. It just does. At the end of the day, it's what happens on the field in between the white lines. And if you're not putting together good at bats, I don't care what Mike Schilt says. We watched the game. besides the first couple innings, there were some really bad at bats. Now, I will say also that umpire was all over the place, but that's no excuse. Okay.
Yeah, he was bad. It was a really weird zone, wide
And this
zone.
is and right now, this isn't a one-off. This is a week plus that you've had really bad at bats. I was afraid for Kevin Acee there for a second because he mentioned how the last 7 games or no, last 8 games, John, dating back to the first half, has been the worst offensive stretch for this team all year long. And I was like, oh shit, Schulte's going to lose his mind. And I think he then gave him that, maybe not that answer, but he busted out an alibi. And then he tried to go with the like, well, you know, we could talk about the last 8 games, but no one's talking about the previous however many months of us.
Because it's been 8. Why would we? They're 50 and 50. Why don't we just talk about who they are?
I know.
He 50 and 50.
He tried to go down that road and he kind of stopped himself. But I was like, are you really freaking seriously going to just look over this? I don't know. I know that this team loves Mike Shildt. I know the players respect Mike Shildt, which is a good thing. It'd be very bad if they viewed him like Jace Tingler. That's a good thing. I understand that. Like, I'm not saying that's not important. You have to be on the same page as your manager. I don't know, John. It just feels weird. Like, have you ever covered a team that has emphasized positivity so much to the point where it's just like eye glazing? I just, and they're 50 and 50. It's not like they're 62 and 48 or something.
It's a little weird. I mean, they've obviously clearly tried to do everything to avoid 2023 and the perception of 2023. And the players have to take them at their word when Kevin quotes them saying that Mike Shildt held us accountable.
Yeah.
He's chewed us out at times. We respect what he has told the fans and the media about our play. He's kind of protected us and he's held us accountable. And he deserves credit. And then you look up and they're 50 and 50. I mean, what kind of credit is there for a team that if the season ended wouldn't be in the postseason? But I mean, maybe to the players' points, I mean, maybe with a different manager, this team's completely out of it. And they're 45 and 55 right now, 10 games under 500. Let's get to some of these super chats. Guys, if you're here, subscribe. Year-round content for Padres fans. Thank you for the super chats. Great way to support our work. Just click the $ below the chat box like Retod did. Thank you, Retod. He says, not Xander's fault, but how about we try never hitting him in the 5 spot ever again, ever again, no matter what, ever. I mean, I saw a couple of people, I saw on social media, someone reacted to me like, this is all like Xander Bogaerts' fault. I'm like, first of all, he's played 3 games. He had two hit games and today. So stop. I mean, they didn't score because of Xander Bogaerts. Like, he wasn't the reason why they did not score in this game, despite going 0 for 4. Yeah, and he wasn't a great hitter before the injury. And truth is, you probably have to give him time after the injury. And he's not a make or break guy. He just hasn't been as a Padre. He hasn't carried you. I don't know if he killed you a year ago, but he certainly hasn't carried you. And I'm not going to put this on Xander Bogaerts today. I mean, if he goes into some spiral and is 2 for 32, we can have the conversation. But this is not Xander Bogaerts' fault, what happened today.
No, it's not. It's not his fault at all. It's the collective offense that was a no-show today. It just is. And Manny went 0 for 4, had a couple misfortunate plays in the infield.
Yep.
I'm not putting this on Manny. I'm just emphasizing the fact that we keep talking about here is that when Manny goes, the team goes. It's kind of pretty simple, it feels like. And if he's not performing offensively and you have Xander behind you who gives you no pop, no power, like nothing. And if Merrill's going to go into a rut, then you got really nothing offensively here. And you can only go so far with Jurickson Profar before that well runs dry. I'm sorry. I love Jurickson Profar. I think he's been fantastic for this team. But you're right. It is kind of foolish to believe that Jurickson Profar could have gone all season long hitting 320 with the 900 plus OPS.
We said it a lot. I mean, listen to this real quick. So the Padres 1-7 in their last 8. And Manny Machado in those 8 games is 6 for 30, which is 200 with a home run and 3 RBIs.
Right.
So like you just said a moment ago, I'll go further. You're like, I'm not going to, it's not Manny. It's not Xander. It's not one player. If I was putting a game like this on someone,
Sure,
I wouldn't first say Stephen Kolek. I wouldn't first say Mike Schild. I may first say, and by the way, Manny said this postgame. Go read Kevin Acey's gamer in the UT. He said, if not for my error, we would have been scoreless in the 8th inning. And if you're scoreless in the 8th inning, Jim, guess what? You're going to see Jeremiah Estrada. And if you're scoreless in the 9th inning, guess what? You're going to see Robert Suarez. Again, no one game is on one player. I'm sure there were other things that went on in the 1993 World Series before Mitch Williams allowed Joe Carter to hit the home run, right? Mitch Williams is going to get the blame. But this isn't on one player. But if I was prioritizing blame tonight, I'm probably putting it on Manny. He's hitless at the plate. He had defensive miscues, whether they're errors or not. And the game's different. If you're scoreless in the 8th inning, it's completely different. It's a completely different game. You can turn over to your high leverage relievers. Maybe you steal a thing, maybe you don't. But his poor play today was consequential, unfortunately, for the Padres. And his poor play over the last 8 games should be noted because they're 1-7 over their last 8 games. That's factual.
Yeah, it's factual that when the team went 12-3 in those 15 games, he was on fire. He's in 371, 6 home runs, and I believe 16 RBIs.
Something like that.
But he was on fire. Team went 12-3. This is no coincidence that over the next 8 games, he goes 6 for 30 with a homer and 3 RBIs. The team's 1-8. Now, it's not all on Manny. It's not like other players are doing anything either. I mean, Jackson Merrill has gone into a rut. Jerkson Profar has gone into a rut. Luis Arise is not the same guy that we saw when he first got here. Jake Cronenworth, up and down. I mean, it's been fine, and then Xander comes back and he's really giving you he's been fine, but at the same time, you need better than fine from Xander. You just do. It's just how this is, especially if you're going to hit in the 5 hole. I mean, come on, you gotta give something to this team that is better than just singles, dude. You're not paid to just hit singles. You're paid to hit in the gap, doubles, homers, something, impact.
I'm not going down the Xander path yet.
I'm not either.
Yes, you are.
I am actually.
You are.
It's frustrating because we cover this team every day. And I've covered this team for well over a decade. And every time this team goes down this path, there is a message that is completely different than what we were watching on the field.
Did you freeze? Or did I?
You froze.
I'm having internet issues over here.
Maybe you should get better internet.
Hold on. I think I
fine
just
on
did.
my end.
Okay.
Hold
on. Let's get back to this conversation in a moment. I know Mark is here. He's our title sponsor. He's been with us since day one. He's frustrated like all Padres fans are right now. Listen, if you support our channel, please support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. He's been with us since day one, 3 years on the wrap-up show here on YouTube. An amazing insurance agent. You can take that from us. I've got homeowners and earthquake insurance and life insurance through Mark. And just by switching your insurance, he can save you a lot of money, like $750 potentially or more. And if you ever need him, he's there for you. And even if you don't need him, he's there for you. He's a great insurance agent with great service and communication to the point that he'll call and text and check in. And if you ever have to file a claim, he's going to save you time and he's going to save you money. I know firsthand because I had to do it in 2022. He does auto, he does home, he does renters, he does life, he does everything. So click the link in the description down below to get to his website. You get free quotes online. Call him. He'll talk to you about the Padres. He'll talk to you about saving money as well. And again, if you support our work, if you support the channel, please support Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. The next time you have an insurance need, looking for information on a new policy, or before you renew elsewhere, get in contact with Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.
Yes, all his information is on the ticker below, mnimitz at farmersagent.com. When you reach out to Mark, let him know that John and Jim for the wrap-up show sent you.
Talon, I'm not getting to your super chat, but I appreciate it. We're not going to pull up political super chats prior to the election here in 2024. I'm just not going to do it. We'll take the super chats. We appreciate it. We're just not going to bring them up on screen either way. We're just not getting into the politics. We're not getting into politics. I promise you that on the wrap-up show. Retod, thank you for the super chat. He says, how about moving him out of the 5 spot, though? That's fine. I mean, I'm fine with whatever you want to do. I have no problem with that. Absolutely none. Zero zilch. But this is a lineup that in totality, in its whole, is not producing, and that was before Bogaerts got back. That's after Bogaerts has returned, and they're in a clear rut. The Tatis thing has added up. Not that Tatis was the MVP of the National League when he was here, but not having him is starting to pile up a little bit, and right field is very exposing right now in the lineup, and you got to get him back sooner rather than later is how I see it.
Yeah, and another thing, too, to like also count on Kyle Higashioka to have like a 900 slugging percentage, too. You're like, I mean, you love Higgy, but
he's been awesome.
That's kind of who he is. He is very streaky. He is a guy that could, like we've seen, just out of nowhere, like carrying the team offensively, power-wise, and then he just all of a sudden can't hit. It's just the Tatis thing. Yes, it hurts for sure. But again, if you can't get it done with Luis Ariz and Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth and Jackson Merrill and Jurickson Profar, I mean, you know, like they're not putting a lineup out there with a bunch of Bryce Johnsons in it.
No, they're not. But if we delve deeper, like we said, Profar since June 1st has been a good hitter, not a great hitter. Luis Ariz since June 1st has been a very average leadoff man, if not worse than that. Manny Machado's had highs and lows. I mean, you're right. This is a serviceable offense even without Fernando Tatis Jr. in theory. But man, you got thin there a little bit. Like from a year ago with like your big 4 on offense to like, I mean, you're asking a lot out of Manny. He came through for 2 weeks. Now hasn't for the last week to 10 days. You know, your point's valid. I mean, you got to be able to score.
Asking a lot out of Manny.
Baseball is scoring. Every team in baseball is scoring more than 12 runs in 7 games.
I'm just asking for Manny to be like, better. I mean, Manny's the guy. He's the engine here.
Yeah, but he's not going to have a 377 stretch again.
Can he have like a 280 stretch?
Well, he had his 377. I bet his 280 stretching. Go to the 5th, start the 12-3 Jim with Manny, and go to today, and he's hitting 280, and the team's 2 games over 500 over that stretch.
But that's a Schilteism right there, though.
No, but you can't use numbers like that. You said, well, then go hit 280. I mean, numbers are numbers.
But when you break it down even more, then you see like the stretches where he was hot and then where he's cold, and then it adds up to 280.
But he's only been hot for 15 games all year. So are you counting on him?
I mean, should we not count on Manny Machado? Like, should we just
be
like,
Manny Machado? I mean, I wish I could,
washed.
but the guy has a 730 OPS and his career OPS is in the 800s. I wish I could count on him to be Manny Machado, but has he been that player?
I wish we could too. I wish the team could count on Manny Machado to be more consistent.
So are you putting your eggs in that basket and say, hey, carry us? We talked about this on the radio and on the wrap-up show. Hey, Manny, carry us.
Do they have a choice?
No, but that's my point. You're like, hey, they're better. They got a lineup that's capable of being better than they are. No, yes. The truth is
they do.
The eggs are in the basket of Manny Machado.
Right.
And if 62 games go by and Manny is the exact same player, you are on a knife's edge. Mm-hmm. And if he's a better player in those 62 games, you have a very realistic, if not probable, path to the postseason. But I'm just saying you're overly reliant on one player that has had ups and downs, and there's probably been more downs than ups in his career here. And recently, like 2024 has been more downs than ups. So how optimistic are you as a Padres fan if you need Manny to be Manny to get into the postseason?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much choice they have here. Like,
yeah, that's true.
They have to, like, they made their bed with Manny. He is the guy forever. And so as he goes, the team goes, the franchise goes, is essentially how this goes. It's not always like that. It's not every time. Like if Manny went 4 for 4 one night, they're automatically winning. I'm sure he's had a bunch of games where he's played really well offensively and the team still lost. But over the course of time, it has been shown that when Manny produces, the team more often than not plays really good baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they've chosen. They have chosen to, whether you like it or not, eggs, basket, all of them in Manny's basket. And that's what it is, you know? And so there's no choice here but for us to sit here and say, we have to trust Manny to turn it around, or else goodbye.
It's a tough spot. And you're right. I mean, you can't run away from him. You can't go build your lineup around him. It's just, he's capable. He's had a better month than his prior 2 or 3 months this year. He has, on the whole. It just hasn't been good over the last 8 or 9 games. He got a bad second strike call in his second or third at bat here tonight.
Yeah, like
and then struck out
swinging
swinging and threw his helmet down and then threw his bat in frustration. So you're always worried about where he is and how he's feeling and how he's doing in all forms and fashions. You just are with a player like Manny. Let's get back to the super chats. Guys, if you're here, please subscribe here on Content for You. And thank you for the super chats. Great way to support the channel. And of course, we get to them all. Just click the $ below the chat box like that one. Homies Garage. Thank you, man. He says the NL is bad and key Padres players are hurt and the team is mid. Life of a Padres fan. Yeah, you're like thinking to yourself, like, the NL is bad. Can't we just get into the postseason? But no, can't have nice things. It's still hard. Key players are out. It's going to be a complete grind, obviously. I mean, it's not like they're going to have something wrapped up, Jim, with 10 games to play.
Yeah. Even though with tonight's loss, I still am at, like I said during the break, at like 51-49 that they make it in.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it would be even worse if they didn't make it in this year. If all of these teams continue the trend of hovering around 500-ish and not being good, not being great, but being like average, and you know, so many teams in it, it just will make things that much worse. So it's not shut up time by any means. There's 62 games left, but in Kevin's article this morning, it's Schilt season, right?
Second half of Schilt season, yes.
Well, go out and prove it. Go out and prove that a Mike Schilt managed team is a second half team. And if not, then basically you can just rip that article up because it means jack shit. So go prove it. If you talk it, go, you know, talk the talk, walk the walk. Like, go out there and prove it.
No, they're not talking it. He wrote it. They didn't say, hey, we're a second half team because of Mike Schilt. He said there are 51. As a manager, he's 51 games over 500 in the second half. You know, it's a fact. Now, he hasn't managed in 4 years, and that was with the St. Louis Cardinals. Also a fact. So I don't think AJ Preller's out there being like, hey, we got Mike Schilt. I mean, they don't have some crazy closing horse in the triple
Mike
crown
Schilt,
here.
baby.
I mean, yeah, this isn't like, hey, he's known for closing. I mean, they're not, but they've had success. I mean, also a lot of that was that 1 year they had the 18-game winning streak when Tatis and Machado fought in the dugout. That was during that stretch, September 2021, August, September.
Right.
You're right. They'll have to do it on field. Nobody's going to care about Schilt season if they finish 80 and 82 or 81 and 81. Right. It just feels like a really, I mean, this road trip that we've talked about for forever. And like, you know, you could live with 4 and 5. You'd be very happy probably with 5 and 4. And it's all still possible, but you just fear the worst, which is like, you don't show up in Cleveland, you don't show up in Baltimore, and you're in trouble. And these are great teams. These are some of the best teams. Cleveland and Baltimore, both 20-plus games over 500. There's only like 3 of those teams in baseball, and they are 2 of them. Now, Washington's been awful recently. Maybe they take advantage there and capitalize like they did at home a few weeks ago. You kind of have to hang your hat on that. But you can't get swept by the Cleveland Guardians here, because if you do, you're 1-9 in your last 10 games. And that is grounds for thinking about selling off parts, is the way I look at it.
Or doing, well, selling off parts, yes, but also doing nothing at the deadline, which could be deemed foolish or
thing.
stupid.
Right.
Like you just either stand pat or you do sell off a Hassan Kim or you take calls on Dylan Cease. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. But
No.
you just you don't know how this team is going to react if they go down in the wild card race by 4 or 5 games here, because there's really no history of this team overcoming things like that in the standings. There's just not. Now, do they have a DNA which is like overcoming things? Yeah, they do. But how far is that going to take you when you're 50-50? You know, it means more if you were like 62-48. Like, do we come back all the time? You know, we have a winning mentality. We're never out of games, grit squad, this and that. It just kind of falls flat to me when you're 500. Like, how can you talk a game about we're this and we're that and we're this and we're that when you're average? I don't know. This is how I feel.
I mean, look at it like this. You know, one of the most disappointing teams in baseball has been the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, for sure.
Who are 2 games behind the Padres. You've kind of, not just the Padres, but a lot of the National League has allowed a team like San Francisco to exist that is 5 days away from being in a playoff spot. Now, again, maybe not. It's for some of these teams, it'll just never turn over, so to speak. San Francisco will stay under 500 all year, or, you know, name the other team. You know, Pittsburgh will be, I mean, Pittsburgh's red hot.
Cincinnati.
Again today. But like, you know, Cincinnati, maybe it never turns over. But again, these 47 and 51 teams like San Francisco and Cincinnati, you should have put yourself in a spot, or you could have put yourself in a spot where they're inconsequential to you because you're 5 or 6 or 7 games better than them, but you're not. You're 2 games better than them, which means 1 bad weekend for you and 1 good weekend for them. And all of a sudden, this quote unquote awful season for the Giants or bad season for the Reds, and you guys are in a complete fight, you know? So it's just concerning. I mean, it just feels like you let teams hang around long enough and you fail to capitalize, and you're going to have to play, like you said, that 34 and 28 baseball, that 35 and 27 baseball. And at some point, that's not who the Padres are. They don't play 550 baseball, you know?
We'll know a lot about this team. I know it's late, on August 19th.
We'll know a lot about this team September 30th.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, August 19th, if on August 19th they are still 500 or a game over or game under, I'm probably at that point saying, yeah, I don't feel like this team's going to make the postseason.
I see what you're saying. You're saying after you get through the Miami, Colorado, Pittsburgh run.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you go, you know, everyone's like, we're talking about these 15 games. Like, you got to go 10-5. You got to do better than that. You got to go 9-6 or better, 10-5 or better. What if you, like, lose 4 out of 6 to Pittsburgh?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it doesn't even matter. Like, you're a couple of games behind the Pirates. So all of a sudden, to me, that stretch has gotten harder because Pittsburgh thinks they're in it. Like,
and you have the Paul Skeens matchups that you could potentially face twice.
Right. And a dangerous team is a team that believes. Like, it's like any sport. You let a team hang around, and all of a sudden they're a different team because they have hung around. That's Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah.
They've won 5 straight. You're going to see them sooner rather than later. And I don't care what we thought about the Pittsburgh Pirates coming into the year. They've got the story in baseball, and they're over 500. Therefore, they're real. And it's a concern, that's for sure. 6 games against Pittsburgh in August right now, from my perspective, from my seat, is a real concern. Scott, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you guys. Just click that $ below the chat box. We're going to get to it. We appreciate your support. He says Machado is not a leader. He never has been, hence consistently average performance. Padres won't win a championship with him. Sad. This is, you've opened a can of worms here. Now, you read the quotes from Machado in the article from Kevin today, where he talked about what leadership is and what winning a championship means and what those teams have from a culture perspective. Like, he kind of sounded the part in that article today about Mike Schilt and Schilt's season and how he's meant a lot to him and held him accountable. But what Scott's saying, a lot of people, I think, would also tend to agree with, which is like proof is in the pudding. He hasn't won anything. He's had some great individual moments and seasons, but end of the day, Manny Machado is still looking for, his first World Series, just like this organization.
Yeah, I think Manny Machado is an amazing player. He's going to probably be in the Hall of Fame. And when he's at his best, we've seen it here. I mean, it's amazing to watch. Like defensively, offensively, it's just amazing to watch at times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Manny can lead a team to a World Series being the guy. I just don't. Like in Baltimore, you had J.J. Hardy and Adam Jones as the leaders of those teams. In L.A., for the brief time he was there, I mean, that team was littered with guys that were veterans and been there for a long time. Clayton Kershaw's, I believe Justin Turner was still there. Like you had guys there up and down that lineup that took over that role. And coming here to San Diego, ever since he's been here, this team's been 500. So like, I don't know if he can do it because he hasn't shown it. He's been on a team that's gone to a World Series, but he wasn't the driving force in that. He got traded there mid-season to be a piece that they needed because Corey Seager got hurt. And it was like a luxury. And the Dodgers said thanks, but no thanks in the offseason. Baltimore, I know they made the playoffs a bunch of times, but he was also a very young player with a team that had some veterans on it, like Adam Jones and J.J. Hardy, who Manny Machado has even said, like, those two guys I look up to, and they were like the leaders of the Baltimore teams back in when Manny first got in the big leagues in the mid 2010s. So like, is Manny an amazing player? Yes. Is he going to potentially be in the Hall of Fame? Yes. Can he lead a team to a World Series? I don't know. I really don't, because he hasn't shown it. And he got close in 2022 and he got outperformed by Bryce Harper. And that was unfortunate because it was like a series set up for the narrative. Who's going to lead their team to the World Series? Manny or Bryce? They're connected. Well, Bryce did it and Manny didn't. So like, I don't know if he's ever going to do it, because right now this team has just been a roller coaster with him on it. They've had way too many downs than ups. They have gone through dysfunctional season after dysfunctional season. He's gone on to now his fourth manager in 6 years. I don't know. I really don't know. That does not mean I don't think he's a great player, because I think he's a great player. But is he a guy that can lead a team?
Yeah, and the odds are only getting harder because he's only getting older and there's more tread on the tire, so to speak. I mean, he's 32 and he's been in the big leagues for 10 plus seasons. So his best chances to win have likely occurred. Not to say you can't win in your 30s. A lot of guys have, but to lead a team much later than 33, 34 is not likely and doesn't occur often. To be the leader, to catapult a team to a World Series in an age 35 season is an abnormality. Now, of course, guys win World Series at any age being on a team, but is he going to be the leader of a team to win a World Series in San Diego? Stay tuned. Now, let's get back to it in a moment. We do want to thank Mova Globes for their partnership here on the wrap-up show. Let me grab my globe. This is a globe. This is my Padres globe, but hold on.
Aaron moved my world globe out to the
gosh.
She moved it out to our bookshelf in our living room because she thought it was so cool and it would be cool on the bookshelf.
I have a Padres globe. I have Earth.
Wow.
Both are terrific.
You have the world in the palm of your hands, John. What are you going to do with it?
You can get 10% off these phenomenal globes by using promo code PWS10. Click the link in the description down below for Mova Globe. PWS10. This technology, which is these rotating globes all day long with artificial or natural light, was invented here, Cardiff by the Sea, in San Diego, which is incredible. They have all 30 major league teams officially licensed. They have much more than that as well. They have all these unbelievable globes, all sizes, Earth, other planets. There's some great planets out there that don't get near the credit they deserve. Saturn's a great planet. You can get it.
They don't get enough credit.
Pluto's a phenomenal place. It doesn't get near the credit it should get. You can pick these puppies up, support the channel. Here's the thing. Maybe you're a Padres fan, but your brother's a Royals fan. All 30 teams officially licensed. They have some amazing products. I'll pull up the website momentarily. But again, use promo code PWS10. Pick one of these puppies up. You're going to love them. Great desk item. Great keepsake, amazing items. And we're truly thankful to be working with our friends over at Mova Globes.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at you.
So they have all 30 teams licensed. If you're not a fan of the Padres and you're watching us, that's okay. Thanks for watching us.
No, it's not.
But you can go and get your favorite team's globe right now at Mova Globe. Check them out. Or you can get a world globe like we have, or the Nebula globe.
The Karina Nebula.
Globe, not globe. Globe. So yeah, check it out now. Promo code in the description below. And
Yeah, no cords, no wires.
Yeah. No, again, Aaron thought the world globe with the clouds was so cool that she's like, I want to put that out in our living room to show it off, because she thought it was like be cool on the bookshelf out there. So it's now on the bookshelf for everybody to see.
Promo code PUS10. Click that link in the description down below. Thank you, Mova Globes, for your support of the wrap-up show. All right, back to Earth or wherever we are.
Back to whatever.
You look ahead because you kind of have to. And the game tomorrow is a night game in Cleveland, a Saturday night game. It's 4:10 Pacific. And this is Dylan Cease, who's been up and down. Now, he closed the first half with a sub-4 ERA at 3.99. So it'll be Dylan Cease to try to stop the bleeding. Gavin Williams will throw for Cleveland. And I want to say he hasn't thrown much at all this year. So this is as good of a chance as you're maybe going to get, right? I mean, this is why Dylan Cease is here. This is an opportunity for Cease to pitch like we've seen him pitch earlier this season. I don't know who throws game 3. It's Michael King, who's also been very good. So you got a couple of chances here, Jim, with Dylan Cease, Michael King. Like you said, you got to get 1. I can't even think about getting 2 before they get 1. So I don't know if that's most likely with Cease or King, but they got to find a way to get one of these.
Yeah, Cleveland's a difficult team to beat at home. I haven't lost a series at home all year.
That's bonkers.
I know. And you get 1, I think you just take it. And hopefully you can go to Washington and maybe rekindle some of that magic that you guys got from the Nationals during that series when the whole Profar gate happened. And you can use that and like carry that on. I don't know, something.
Take that. I mean, that would be nice if they like have that all bottled up. Like it's the Nationals. Like now it counts.
Now it matters.
My concern with that is not that the Nationals, I think the thing's done. It should be done.
Oh, yeah.
The Nationals kind of like you lost. Like you kind of laughed. You can't get laughed out of the room. Like you're not going to continue that game. Right. Like they violated unwritten rules. It's over. You tried to hit people. You didn't. You got swept in the series. I think you move on from it. My concern is just that they still remember getting swept here. And now they have James Wood, who's a former Padres farmhand. And you're just thinking about it. Like you're on the road. You're not at home. You don't have all the advantages you had a couple of weeks ago and life was really good. Can you pick yourself up against a bad team? Like if you go there having lost the series in Cleveland, let's say 2 out of 3, can you go there and pick yourself up and go win 2 out of 3 or more? We'll find out. And then the Baltimore thing, who knows? Again, one of the better teams in baseball. Machado homecoming. He's been there before, obviously. But, again, I think based on losing game 1, you sign up right now for 4-5 trip and you move on with your life and you're 500 coming home to get the Dodgers. And you got a lot of baseball in front of you. But maybe they can play better than that. They can certainly play worse than that, and that's why we'd probably take that 4-5 trip right now.
It's just so disappointing to start your second half like this. I mean, it just really is. I mean, yes, it was a 1-0 game into the 8th inning, and the score probably made it. I mean, the score did not probably. It did. It made it worse than it maybe actually was, but still, your offense was shit, and you couldn't even get 1 run on the board to help out Matt Waldron, who pitched fantastic tonight. It's just so disappointing to start your second half like that. There's no other way around it.
I agree. Moises, appreciate you, my friend. Guys, if you're here, subscribe. And if you're here, thank you for the super chats. If you're here on replay, thank you for the super thanks. Moises saying this with the super chat. Just click the $sign below the chat box. An average player is worth about 2 WAR. Manny has a WAR of 1. Statistically, he should be making $8 million per year instead of 31. That's a game. That's a dangerous game in baseball. Oh, this guy makes $700,000. He's better than a player making $30 million. It's how the sport works. It's how the world turns. Guys like Manny Machado are going to make more money than Jackson Merrill, even if they have comparable years. That happens across all teams.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to see him be 2022 Manny? Yeah, obviously. And he's not going to be 2022 Manny this year. Does he have a chance to have a stretch like that? Yeah, we all want to see it. I mean, we said today on John and Jim, can he hit 30 home runs? We both said no. Prove us wrong. I hope he does. Can he hit 17 home runs in the next 62 games? Go do it.
Wouldn't that be crazy if in like an alternate world, every player was playing for like their contract
Money.
or
That'd
money?
crazy.
Like
Yeah,
everyone starts
every
at
moment
zero.
counted. Yeah, and
Everybody
moment
starts
is
at
worth
zero.
money.
And say like a guy like Stephen Kwan, right? I don't know how much he's
50.
making, but probably not a lot. And then it goes to like the salary. So like if you are at this spot, you know, then you're paid this much money. But if you dip, then your money goes down according to like your stats. So like if Manny, like you said there, Moises, you know, he's playing like a guy who should make $8 million per year. Could you imagine if like his paychecks came in based on his performance?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work like that, you know?
No, it doesn't. And Manny, that would be, oh my God. But could you imagine if that would happen? Like, I think these guys would be doing better, wouldn't you say? Like a lot around the league, maybe? Like playing for your contract? Dude.
Honestly, I don't typically say that. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I can't answer it.
There's
I
at
don't
least
think
one player in baseball,
Oh,
John,
of course,
that's
of
dogging
course.
it,
And
for
there's
sure.
one player. Yeah. No. I don't think Manny is struggling based on anything contractually that's happened here ever.
I don't think
I
so
think
either.
Manny's struggling because the injury was
Struggling.
real. He's getting older, and he's been off to some extent this year. He can get it back. We saw it. I mean, we saw one of baseball's best players for 2 weeks. We need to see one of baseball's best players for 2 months. That's what we need to see.
Mm-hmm.
Murray, thank you. He says his alma mater, Crawford, was 28-4 in 1990. Remember that team?
Oh, yeah.
Lost to Carlsbad in the CIF. Our manager let us have it. It was unacceptable. Padres are happy being average. That's not what Kevin wrote today. Joe Musgrove was quoted saying he's chewed us out a couple of times this year. He's held his team accountable. I don't know if they're happy being average. Like, are they happy organizationally? They're going to draw their $3 million, Jim. I'm sure they'll have big crowds against the Dodgers. I'm sure it's coming when they get home. But
they
they
made
happy?
it. No, they're not happy. It's pretty easy to connect the dots here. How did last season end? Horrible. How was last season in a whole? Horrible. How did the relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller work out? Yeah, it ended horribly.
Mm-hmm.
2021. Yeah, 2 of the last 3 years, dysfunction. 2021, 2023. Dysfunctional articles and pieces about this organization. And I do think from the start of spring training, there was a collective effort and message from the organization all the way down to Schilt and everybody. We are only going to portray positivity no matter what, because we are not going to have what happened to us last year happen. We are not going to let anything negative be sent out to the media or the public. And all we're going to do, regardless of what happens, is be positive. And I truly think that is something that was talked about. Maybe not that sense, but the word positivity, I guarantee you, was used for this team to use for this season.
I think you're right. I do. And what has it gotten them?
50-50.
A record that is better than a year ago. I don't know where they were through 100, maybe 48.
Does that
and
mean
52.
anything?
No, but I mean, you're just kind of thinking about where are you pacing to be. Of course, I don't even think they were an 82-80 team last year. That's so deceiving. And even you and I will get caught saying, yeah, they were 82-80. Yeah, that's
fake.
That's a fake 82-80. I mean, they were like a 75 win team that took advantage of whatever they took advantage of when they were out of it in September.
They
But
played
if they would have followed the trend lines, they would have won 75 games last year. Okay, credit them. The games count. That's fine. And we'll give them the 82-win season, but don't tell me, even though I've told you, they were 2 games out of a playoff spot, or if they beat Arizona one additional time, they would have been in the postseason. I don't know. I think if they were actually in it, they wouldn't have played as well as they did in September when they were out of it, when there was nothing to play for.
Oh, yeah, they were playing really bad teams in September. And it was unfortunate because, like, imagine if they just played half decent.
I know.
And then they
were scorching hot in September. It was crazy. There was
won like
stretch
16 of 18 or something.
It was stupid.
It was ridiculous numbers, but it didn't matter because they were so far out of it.
I know. Guys, we do want to remind you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. This is a great place to play fantasy sports. Best and easiest. Simple as that. They've got offers going on for you right now, which includes a free special pick. They've got a free special pick for you right now if you make a first-time deposit. Also, you'll get up to a $250 first-time deposit offer. You're getting a 50% deposit match. You deposit $50, they'll give you $25. You deposit $100, they'll give you $50, and so on and so forth, up to $250. All you got to do is use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. We've been playing, we've been winning. Okay, simple pick'ems, higher or lowers. Manny Machado higher than a half total base. Xander Bogaerts higher than 1 RBI. Whatever it is, and you can do it. You can do it across all sports. WNBA All-Star Game is Saturday. NFL and college are coming within the next 6 or 7 weeks. Of course, Major League Baseball, Padres pick'ems going on right now. Couldn't be easier. Use that promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Get a free special pick. You're on your way to a win. Plus, get that first-time deposit offer with the 50% deposit match, and you can be like Jim potentially and win some real money.
Yes, promo code right there. Actually, sorry, that's not the promo code. That is the QR code to download the app. Promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Download Underdog Fantasy right now. Use our promo code and start winning some money, guys.
You can win 325 times your money in a single
night. Good?
That's a lot of money. That's I mean, $10 turned into like 3,200, which is crazy. Yeah. JD Goucher, thank you, man. Appreciate your support, longtime support of the channel. Let's get to our college baseball portion of the wrap-up show. Scout Director Chris Kemp on drafting USD third baseman Jack Costello, 10th round. Okay, and we talked about this today, not Jack Costello.
I forgot to ask David J about this. My man.
We're the Padres. If there's talent around here, you need to protect the backyard. Work with Tony Gwynn, protecting the backyard. That worked out well.
Jack Costello.
Is Jack Costello the next Tony Gwynn?
It's a good question.
On Monday.
I'm going to say no on that one.
I kind of agree.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. But thank you, JD Goucher. Listen, it's hard to keep up with the draft. Like, I don't even know the name of their first round pick.
Baseball draft is
something.
Not for the casuals.
Dude, it's not for the hardcore. I just don't, you know what I mean? A 17-year-old left-hander out of name the state. How could anyone know who that is before that day?
We're just very lucky that we have Matt Friars, because without Matt Friars, I don't know if we'd know anything about these guys.
I still don't know if I know anything. That's on me, though, I guess. Like, who was their first round pick? Cash Mayfield?
But, like, baseball is so difficult, because why should I care about a guy when you potentially aren't going to see him in the big league level for like 4 or 5 years?
I know. And how does anyone have any idea how a 17-year-old out of Oklahoma projects in the big leagues as a 23-year-old?
Right. And you're not, Preller's not drafting 22-year-olds ready to go. Like,
No, they want the high ceiling. They want the under-scouted high ceiling.
Now,
take time to develop player.
Jackson Merrill was drafted in 2021, and he got here in a couple of years. So
that's a bit of an outlier.
Yeah, good for him and good for the organization. But like, majority of the guys you're not seeing for a while.
Especially pitchers. I mean, there's not a lot of 20-year-old starting pitchers in Major League Baseball.
No, unless you're like Paul Skeens,
but even Skeens had, what was it, 4 years of college baseball, Air Force and LSU. Like, he wasn't 17.
Yeah, didn't he pitch against San Diego State 20. Too?
What?
Didn't he pitch against San Diego State as well?
Multiple times. He pitched Tony Gwynn Stadium, absolutely. When he was at Air Force, he got roughed up. Nah, not really. Maybe 6 innings, 3 runs, something like that. 5 innings, 3 runs.
He skyrocketed when he started dating Livy Dunn.
Oh yeah, no doubt. There's no doubt about it. All right, guys. Well, here's the deal. We'll be back Sunday night to wrap up this series, 9:30 Pacific on the wrap-up show. We'll look back at the Guardian series. We will look ahead to that upcoming Nationals series as the 9-game road trip continues. Again, Game 2 on Saturday, Dylan Cease, and then Game 3 behind Michael King. We'll see if the Padres can pick up at least a game, if not somehow steal a series over the course of this weekend. JD's third, thank you again before we get out of here. If you guys want to get in supers real quick before we get out of here, he says, to your point, Jim, we were 11 games under last August, fell below 500 in May, stayed there until final weekend of the season. Not close at all.
Oh yeah, August was a disaster. That's when it officially ended. And that series in Seattle, when they admitted they quit, that it was over. It was donezo. Put a knife in him, put a fork in him, whatever.
Okay.
It wasn't close.
Yeah, no, it was last year was deceptive, and I do think this team is better than last year's team was in this moment, but that doesn't guarantee them anything. JD Gotcha, thank you again. He says 5 USD players and 3 UCSD players drafted at San Diego State had none. I never thought I'd see the day of the Aztecs getting shut out. I mean, I don't even know the complexities of college baseball. I really don't. I don't know the circumstances playing out there. Strasburg was like the number 1 overall pick, wasn't he?
He was.
Out of San Diego State?
Yeah, he was.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
number 1 overall.
He's pretty good.
Pick.
He was pretty good, John.
Was he though? Yeah, he was. He was.
Oh, yeah.
He was really good. He was really good. Yeah. And Marty Caswell says the greatest moment in San Diego sports history, right? His no-hitter at Tony Gwynn Stadium.
Until Joe Musgrove threw his no-hitter.
Those are top 2 moments in the history of the.
Well, I think that would she said that before the Musgrove no-hitter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that is amazing, right? Strasburg would pitch. They'd have thousands of people inside Tony Gwynn. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. Playing for Tony Gwynn, that's kind of surreal, to be honest with you. That is amazing. All right, so please subscribe. All right, we're here for you. Home of Real Padres Talk, so please subscribe. Hit that like button for us. Follow us on X. Hit us up on that brand new Discord server. Click the link that's pinned in the top of the chat.
I'll sign up one day for it.
Yeah, you don't even need to. I'm good. I got it handled. Click that link in the description down below. Sign up for that Discord server. Keep the Padres discussion going 365 days a year, 24/7, 365. Thank you for the super thanks over here on replay. Thank you for those that have become members. Thank you, Murray, for the super chat where he says, watching Revenge of the Nerds to relax. Night all. That's probably a good thing to do tonight. We'll see you on Sunday night at 9:30. We thank our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, our title sponsor, Mova Globes. Use promo code PWS10 to get 10% off. And again, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Get that free special pick plus a 50% deposit match on your first deposit. For Jim, I'm John. Padres fall in Cleveland to start the second half 7-0. Moises? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what? Real quick, last plea, got to subscribe. We just crossed over 6,500 subscribers. We can't do this without you guys. Help us get to 7,000. We're not asking for much. Subscribe to the channel. Support the wrap-up show, like Moises said. We do appreciate you guys. We really do. We'll see you on Sunday night. For Jim, I'm John. This has been the wrap-up show. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Moises.
Peace out. Bye.